Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss Pre-Market Report for November 22nd, 2016. I'm Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. We saw the ES push to new highs here, getting into 2203 quarter this pre-market. The previous session we had 2191 half as the all-time high. Price was sitting at it throughout most of the day, eventually ate through that level. And then here in overnight trading, we've seen price push up. And now after pushing to highs, we're back below the midpoint of the day, rejecting at 2200, at least early on. So right now we put in a new all-time high, 2203. We're seeing initial selling pressure above the midpoint of the day. It's still very, very difficult to sell a dull market here when this thing is just kind of drifting higher. So I would still say as we head throughout the week, any pullbacks still could be quiet short-term buying opportunities as this thing melts higher. Now, if there's any failure to hold above 2185 over that time, there could be more of a retracement. But any pullback, even into 2185, could still be a buying opportunity for a continuation higher, at least as this thing progresses throughout the holiday shortened week. I told you before, we had 2214 and 2240 as the next major upside targets here. So 2214 could be the next major target to be reached should this thing continue to push through 2200. Now let's take a look at the intraday time frame. On an intraday basis here, you'll notice that after price rallied, here's the previous session's high price. That's 2196 half. Price pushed right through that level. Tried to hold above the 25% expansion of the previous session's range, failed. Micro absorption here, and we've rotated back down. So 2196 half, very important short term right now. Bulls want to keep it bid for a retest back near highs. Failure to hold that level, auctions prices back toward recent support, 2192. Again, any pullback is likely to be seen as a big buying opportunity. So if this thing were to rotate as far down as here, this could be a great buying opportunity. Any traps below the previous session's close could be great, in addition to that LVN. So there's several areas here, but you have to be patient. Remember, price has been moving at a very quiet pace with low volatility and low volume. So you have to be patient about your opportunities and you have to mind your risk. So right now, keep an eye on 2196 half. Short-term bulls want to keep it bid for a rotation back into 2200. Failure to hold it rotates price back into the LVN at 9175. All right, let's take a look here at the crude oil chart. Here's crude oil. Let's bring it up to a higher time frame because this one also looks like a rejection pattern if you look at it from a daily time frame perspective. If you look here, we talked about before, this rejection below 43s could get us back to 48s. That's our primary idea, and then we had this rejection day that came out. Obviously, the Putin comments led this thing even higher. So when price closed back above the midpoint, that's when the deal is done, and you can see why. Well, now we're forming the same type of rejection day again here, and we know the last one didn't work. So you have to be very careful because right now we're on the upswing. Pullbacks are buying opportunities. 47.25 is a key level here where price went strongly bid through it. So I would say any pullback into that zone could be another buying opportunity for a test into 50 or even higher. Obviously, we had 49s be rejected. That's the next key level there. With prior support into this area went offered and it was rejected again. So there's a couple of different schools of thought here. Number one, if bulls can keep this 47.25 bid on a retest, we could continue squeezing. The other school of thought is that after reaching prior support and taking it offered before, it's been rejected and redefended. So this could bring us all the way back down now. Back within the trading range. So there's a couple of schools of thought. We have to keep an eye on 49. We have to watch 47.25, and those levels will tell us a lot. Right now, all prices above 48.5 are currently being defended. So anytime price pushes above 48.5, look for bears to reject and defend, at least today. So if we jump into the intraday time frame, take a look at this. You can see again 47.25 was the level down below. And then again, you have this level up here where 48.35, that's the previous session's close. You can see price tried to hold above it throughout the day, and then boom, we've taken it offered after rejecting new highs. So right now, 48.9s clearly rejected the first time. Price tried to hold the second time, rejected. 48.5 is right here, previous session's high price. If price rallies into 48.5, watch for bears to defend, because anything above this zone has been offered so far. That could get you back toward 47.25. Okay, let's take a look now at gold futures. Here's gold. We bring up a higher time frame. One thing we talked about with gold was the fact that it still needed another test back toward 1200. We were talking about how it was holding here, and it didn't look, it just looked like it needed a little extra room to run to the downside. There was all the room here to squeeze above 1233s, but the 33.30 zone was very well offered, and that again paved the way for more weakness. I mentioned earlier that this little bounce into the pivot range could be a selling opportunity this week as this thing goes for another test downward. The real area of support is 1200 to 1180. Getting down into that area will really cause some bulls, higher time frame bulls, to come in and look to defend. And we really haven't touched it yet. We come into 1201 and change, and so we haven't even really gotten to that zone yet. So I still believe there's another leg downward, at least into this area, and then we could see this thing build out for a big reversal back toward 1263, followed by a move into 1323. So could be rather large reversal to come, but right now we got to be patient and continue to watch it. Here is the NQ in the higher time frame. This one, we've been talking about the expanding nature of this range. We've just come from the bottom. We were chopping near the middle. I talked about the likelihood of coming up toward the top of the range, and this is the range we're in. So as soon as we can get rid of the 48.80s here, you likely see this thing push higher, perhaps into 49.50, and then we may see this thing come all the way back across, or we'll see what happens next. But clearly, this has been a range that's been in development heading into the election. We finally got our election day movement there, and now we're right back near high. So 48.80 is very important. If you look across here, price has not spent much time up here before being rejected by varying degrees. So right now, if there is not a quick rejection on 48.80, that might be our indication that this thing's going to eat through it and continue to squeeze to new highs into 49.20 and higher. So 48.80 is the key level to watch. If we look at this in an intraday chart, you can see there's 48.80. You can see the key level, very important key level. It's also a weekly pivot right there, 48.82.5. So you can see very clear rejection so far, or at least defense by the bears. I still believe that there may be some tests above it, but right now bears are trying to offer it back toward the previous close, 57.5, maybe even down into 48.40. If price gets into 48.40, it may be a great buying opportunity for a push right back up. So right now we're in this range. An expansion outside of it could spark the next key move in the direction of the break. So watch 48.80 and watch 48.40. All right, that's it for now. Let's see how this plays out heading into the rest of the day. Good luck and trade well.